Hello and welcome to the All In Leadership Podcast. I'm David Gadberry, the owner-operator of All In Leadership Coaching and Consulting, and we love to talk about leadership. And we're so glad that you joined us and are part of our leadership community. Hey, listen, if you want to help us help others with leadership ideas and thoughts and the interviews that we do with other people, man, do me a favor and help us with the algorithm. First of all, subscribe on YouTube and hit that little bell so that you can be alerted every single time that we do an episode, which is about weekly. And then like it, comment on it, ask questions, share it with others. This will help us get the word out and help the algorithm help us, get that attention so that we can continue to spread the word and build this thing up. So thank you for being a part of it. We're so glad you're with us today. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about what's killing your leadership. I know we all want to know what that could possibly be. And here's what it is. Control is killing your leadership. The need for control limits leaders. It restricts teams and it reveals a lack of trust. I know sometimes, especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're building a business, man, sometimes it feels like you have to be in control. Sometimes it feels like if you don't control everything, everything's going to fly out of control. But it really doesn't work that way. And as a matter of fact, the more we control, the less productive our business will become. The more we control, the more we restrict our teams. The more we control, the more limits are placed on us. And it really breeds a culture that has no trust. Most leaders don't think they struggle with control. I find that interesting. I work with a lot of leaders because I'm an executive coach. I'm just telling you, most people don't think they struggle. It's funny, I can have conversations with people who are leading organizations and they think, no, I'm not a micromanager. No, I don't want to control everything. But if you watch them in their operation or you listen to how they talk about things, they're definitely in control of everything. And then they get frustrated and wonder, why are we not expanding? Why are we not growing? Why don't our culture, why don't we trust each other? It's all because they don't realize, they're not aware that they are controlling everything. Control shows up like this. It shows up like micromanagement. It shows up over-involvement. It shows up in lack of delegation. It shows up in needing everything to be done your way. And here's the truth. Control is often just fear in disguise. I've been a pastor for many years and almost 40 actually. And one of the things I've seen with parents in dealing with their kids is they really are so afraid that something bad's going to happen to their kids or that their kids are going to do something bad that they lock down on their lives. And instead of developing them and growing them and training them, they end up just trying to control them. And then when it gets to the point they can no longer control, which doesn't take very long, obviously, then it just becomes this huge conflict and problem and issue because really what they were doing was not controlling, or the reason that they were controlling was not what you might think. It wasn't just because they were hard parents or harsh. It was because they were afraid. I remember one time that my daughter she was becoming a teenager and she was starting to drive, and man, I would get really angry over stuff she would do. And I kept thinking, why am I getting so mad? And what I realized is it wasn't anger. It was fear. I was afraid she's going to get hurt. Afraid her life wasn't going to turn out. Afraid that she was going to, have big problems or do something she shouldn't do or whatever the case may be. So at the root of control usually is fear of failure. Fear of being exposed, fear of losing relevance. I know some leaders that that fear of being exposed, they don't know everything that they think everyone thinks they know. They're still learning like everybody's learning, and that's the way of life. But what happens is when you start fearing that people are going to see that you don't know everything, man, you start trying to control what they can see and what they can't see. You start trying to control how they perceive things. It's just a never-ending cycle downward. So what happens when you have fear of failure or fear of being exposed or fear of losing relevance? A lot of times leaders will grip tighter instead of looser. Control doesn't create strength, it creates dependency. So now if you are in control of everything and you are the center of everything in your organization, then the whole organization becomes dependent upon you. Now, how do you be effective in that? You can't, because now your organization is limited completely to your ability and to your capacity. And here's the cost of control. The cost of control is when you control too much, teams stop thinking. Initiative dies. Creativity disappears. Ownership is lost. You don't build strong teams by controlling them. You build strong teams by trusting and developing them. That's how teams grow. That's how teams develop. That's how you get people to own the vision, is by leaning into them, by releasing them, by empowering them. So how do we do it? How do we let go without losing leadership? Because that's the fear. I'm afraid this is going to get away from me. Well, letting go doesn't mean lowering standards. I think we think it means becoming loosey-goosey in the way we do things. No, we think it means losing authority. It doesn't. It means empowering others. It means delegating responsibility. It means coaching instead of controlling. Your job is not to do everything right. Your job is to develop people who can. Now think about that. As the leader of your organization, your job is not to do everything right. Your job is to develop others who will do everything right. Empowerment is the way to that, not control. So ask yourself, where am I over controlling? Come on, be honest. Be honest. Don't say, I'm not controlling. Ask yourself, where am I over controlling? You know where. Where am I not trusting my team? You know what? If you're constantly saying, why don't you do it like me? Why don't you do it like me? You don't trust them. You just need to admit it. You don't trust them. If you keep stepping in and micromanaging, you don't trust them. Now, there are times that you do need to micromanage. I'm not going to be dishonest about it. There are times that some people aren't trustworthy and you need to get in their business to make sure they're doing it the way that you want it done. But that should be a development or a coaching opportunity. It should not be control. So where am I not trusting my team? What am I holding on to that I need to release? Man, that's a good question. And you really should ask yourself that. And then here's what you can do about it. Delegate something this week. Like, figure out something that you need to hand over that other people could do. And don't just delegate the task, delegate the authority and the decision-making ability to do it. And then let someone else lead. Go to a meeting this week, and instead of you being the lead of it, assign someone else to lead it and you participate in it. Allow margin for learning. Everyone has a learning curve, including you. And so allow room and space for there to be the development of learning. And that includes failure, by the way. Sometimes that's the greatest teacher we have. So if you become empowering, you fail more, yes, but you learn a lot more. If you're controlling, you may not fail as much, but you won't learn as much either, and you will not produce as much. It's just a fact. So if you have to control everything, you've built something too small. Real leadership multiplies, always, every time, and multiplication requires trust. So I want to challenge you this week. Become a person who can release. Become a person who can delegate. Become that person who sees your role as a leader to develop others, to multiply the impact of your organization. Hey, God bless you. Have a great week and go out there and lead well.